What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome back to Writer's Life Wednesdays, where we come together to help you make your story matter and make your author dreams come true. Are you a pantser or a writer who just hates outlining of any kind, but you're starting to feel like maybe my writing could actually benefit from a little bit of outlining? Okay, first let me tell you, you're right. Outlining your story before you write it will not only strengthen your characters, your plot, and your themes, but it will also help you tremendously during the editing process because you'll never have to do a big rewrite because you took the time to make your story incredible before you even started writing the first draft. But I know that plotting and outlining can be really overwhelming, especially if you're used to flying by the seat of your pants. Here's the cool thing. You can outline as much or as little as you want to. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make the most minimal and non-intimidating outline that will guide your story to greatness. So if you want to outline your story, but you hate outlining, keep watching. This video is for you. Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true. Your outline should serve you, not the other way around. I think this is the reason why a lot of writers hate outlining and hate plotting, is because they feel like they are now trapped by their outline, right? Once you start plotting, you start writing down all the details of your story, you start using story structure, you suddenly feel like so confined to this outline that it's no longer creative and playful and fun. I have definitely been there. And when I first started writing, I was a pantser. I did not outline anything. I did not plot anything. I just wrote whatever I felt like writing wherever the story was taking me in the moment. But then I started to realize that I was looking at outlining all wrong. I was looking at it as this box that you put yourself in, and then you can't escape the box and you can't change the box. That is the misconception that a lot of writers, a lot of pantsers have about outlining. And it's just not true, okay? You can change your outline. Your outline should not limit you. It should free you to be more creative and to try new things and to be able to see your story from a bird's eye perspective, which is what an outline gives you. That allows you to create an incredible story before you even start writing it. Okay, so don't worry. This outlining method is not going to trap you. It is not going to limit you. It is going to free you, and I'm going to show you why. So the outlining method that I'm going to walk you through today has 3 simple pillars, okay? Premise, protagonist, and story structure. And don't be afraid of that word, story structure. I know the word structure is scary to a lot of pantsers, but don't be scared, because story structure is really all about character transformation, okay? When I talk about it on my channel, I'm talking about character transformation, because every compelling character arc follows a journey of change. Usually it flows something like this. The main character is internally conflicted. They desire something and their fear is standing in their way. Something happens to push them outside their comfort zone and set them on the path of their journey, where they will encounter obstacles and plot twists as they pursue their misbelief-based goal. Eventually, a disaster strikes, leaving your character hopeless and confronting their greatest fear. They must overcome their fear and crush their misbelief in order to continue to the climax and face their biggest challenge yet, therefore proving their transformation. Now, if you're like, wow, that sounds exactly like my story, how did you know that? Did you read my notes? Don't worry, I didn't read your notes. That's good that your story flows in the same general direction of what I just read to you, because that is a compelling character arc. That is a journey of change. That's the journey of change I'm talking about. Many stories follow this flow for a reason, because story is not about what happens, it's about how what happens affects and transforms the characters. That's what makes a story satisfying. That's what makes a story matter. Okay, step 1, let's talk about premise. The first thing you have to do is figure out the premise of your story. What is the idea, or the what if? This is like the first beginnings of your story idea, okay? So if you don't have this, if you have no idea what you want to write a story about, start here with this video to brainstorm a story idea. But chances are you already have a story idea and you want to organize it and make it more coherent. Create a little bit of an outline, but not too much outlining. Your premise could also be described as your hook. Oh, you know, it'd be cool is to write a story about this. That's the idea I'm talking about. Don't worry about making it too detailed right now. It can be a rough idea, the roughest of rough ideas, because you're going to add more detail after you get to know your protagonist. So step 2. Meet your protagonist. Characters are the most important part of storytelling. If you can get someone to fall in love with your characters and relate to them, they'll want to read everything that happens to these characters, whether that's a trip to Starbucks or a voyage across the galaxy. And that's why before you start doing any real outlining, you need to meet your protagonist. Again, this is going to be a very minimal outline, so you don't have to dive too deep into developing your protagonist yet, but you should write down a few major things about them that will be super important for your story. Their desire, the thing they want and think will make them happy. Their fear, the thing stopping them from going after the thing that will make them happy, and their misbelief, the thing they mistakenly believe is true about the world, which feeds off of their fear. These are always the first 3 things that I sketch out for my protagonist before I start outlining. Because over the years, I've learned this is the lifeblood of storytelling. This is the thing your reader is subconsciously searching for. An internal journey leading to an aha moment, which will put to death a misbelief that your protagonist has been holding on to their whole life. Now, let's talk about story structure. This is the actual outlining part. If you've been here on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I love talking about story structure. More specifically, the 3-act story structure. The 3-act story structure is a tried and true, wildly popular, psychologically proven storytelling method that takes the guesswork out of structuring your novel. In fact, I made a whole video series breaking down the 3-act story structure and diving super deep into why each story beat works and the brain science behind it all. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely check out that series. But for now, we're gonna keep things really simple, really minimal, and I know that you don't like outlining, so we're not gonna go super deep into anything right here. What I want you to do is start small with a bullet point outline of the 3-act story structure. Okay, so I'm talking about doing 1 line per plot point. Now, if you watch my series that's really in depth, I'm gonna go super in depth on each story beat, but I don't want you to do that here because all you really need to remember is to follow that flow of character transformation. So your character is starting the story, being pushed outside their comfort zone, making a decision based on their misbelief. That's Act 1. Act 2, you have the character going on their journey. So they are meeting obstacles and conflict as they continue to pursue their fear-based goal. You have a plot twist in the middle of your story, in the middle of Act 2, which changes the way that they're going about pursuing their goal. And then Act 3, you are building up to a climax, a final battle. Even if it's not a real battle, they are going to face a confrontation. They're going to face their greatest fear. They're going to have an aha moment once they have their dark moment. Probably a disaster will strike. They'll have a dark moment, an aha moment of, wow, that's the truth. Now they can crush their misbelief. Now they can continue to the climax because they have transformed as a result of their journey. And that's the end. It's literally as simple as that. And as I was just walking through that, you were probably thinking of some of your favorite stories that follow this exact flow. That's no accident. This is tried and true. It's psychologically proven to work. That's why I love it so much. One such example, which I'm going to show you right here with my outline example of the bullet point outline, is Jane Eyre. Okay, so here we have the 3-act story structure bullet point outline for Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Spoiler alert, here's the whole story in 300 words. Act 1, the hook. Jane Eyre is a penniless orphan child left to the care of her cruel aunt who sends her away to school. Setup. Jane grows up without love or a home, leaving her no destiny but to become a governess when she's old enough. Inciting Incident. Jane takes a position as governess and goes to Thornfield Hall. Build up. Jane is eager to meet Mr. Rochester, the master of Thornfield, and so is the reader. First plot point. Rochester arrives on the scene and throws Jane's world off axis. He's going to change everything for her. First pinch point. Jane observes clues that Thornfield holds a secret. Blanche Ingram, Rochester's lady friend, sparks jealousy in Jane. Act 2. Pre-midpoint reactionary hero. Jane, always in pursuit of love, but feeling herself unworthy of it, finds herself more attracted to Rochester than ever. Midpoint. Rochester professes his love for Jane, and she accepts his proposal of marriage. Post-midpoint action hero. Thanks to the proposal, Jane's whole life has changed. She feels loved for the first time in her life. Second pinch point. Jane has a disturbing dream that leaves her shaken. She senses that the house and Rochester holds a secret. Act 3. Supposed victory. Jane and Rochester are this close to tying the knot when disaster. The secret comes out. Rochester has a wife already, a lunatic who lives at Thornfield. Dark moment. Jane feels betrayed and hopeless. Her fear and misbelief of never being loved returns to challenge her. She leaves Rochester and Thornfield bound for nowhere. Aha moment. After being rescued by her long-lost cousins, Jane must overcome her misbelief and realize that she is loved. Rochester loves her, and he needs her. Climactic confrontation. Jane returns to Thornfield only to find it burned and in ruins. There was a fire which cost Mr. Rochester his eyesight and Mrs. Rochester her life. Victory. Jane finds Rochester and promises to never leave his side. Resolution and the end. They all live happily ever after. Boom! That's how Charlotte Bronte would have outlined Jane Eyre if she was using my 3-act story structure bullet point outline. So now it's your turn. Take this template and write your own bullet point outline for your story. The cool thing is you can keep this outline super minimal if you want to, or you can fill in more detail. Like I said, outline as much as you feel like outlining. There are no rules. You could write Jane Eyre off of that 300-word outline that I just read to you, or you could go crazy like I do and write a 30,000-word outline. I wasn't gonna say that earlier in the video because I didn't want you guys to like run away screaming, but yeah, I've written like 30,000-word outlines before. But see, that's my process. That's what works for me, and you need to find your own process. So I hope this video has helped you to find that process, to discover that process, and to let yourself discover it. Let yourself outline. Just try it. Grab the template below this video. It's called Idea to Outline Story Guide. It's a free printable template that you can use to outline your next fabulous story. Now it is time for you to talk to me. Comment below this video and tell me, are you an outliner or are you a pantser? Or something in between? Did this video help you? If so, smash that like button to let me know, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos and publishing videos every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you here in the community. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon, because that's where we go beyond videos and take storytelling to the next level. The Patreon community is not only the best way to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, but it's also the only way to connect one-on-one with me and get guidance and advice on your story. So go to patreon.com/AbbyEmmons and check out all the awesome exclusive content I have over there for you. Until next week, my friend, happy outlining and rock on. So if you want to outline your story, but you hate, I have hair in my mouth. Okay, so here we have our 3-act story structure for Jane Eyre. And spoiler alert, if you do not know this classic, shame on you.